welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. Want to thank you for joining. Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. Want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30. But I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome everybody to a Sunday night live. Sorry for running a little bit late. I was driving all over the place this weekend, and I am exhausted. And I was reading the story to my daughter, hadn't seen him. I left, when did I leave? I left Saturday morning early, and I headed down to Lake Lanier. They had an in-water boat show. You may have seen my live from there. And got as much as I could there, met some cool people, talked a lot of boats, found a couple of cool things that I'll share with you in video, and then decided there was some video I was going to do there, but it didn't quite work out, and so I needed to get some video at the coast, so I'm having dinner finally. So this is I'm going to try to not be too rude with this, but I may eat a bite or two. But drove down to Charleston, got to Charleston at about 2 a.m. after some difficulties, got a little bit of sleep, and was shooting at, I don't even know what marina. One of the marinas was shooting some video in the morning, rolled back into town, or shot all day. You can see my face is all sunburnt and I got my sunglass marks. Yes, I do. I feel tired, Chris. Not only do I look tired, but I feel tired, and I am tired. Matter of fact, on the way home from Charleston, I was so tired, I started kind of dozing off. So I pulled off on the side of the road and slept for about 40 minutes, just on an exit, and I was out. Woke up, got home safely, and got to read stories to my daughter, and talk to my wife a little bit, give my oldest one a quick hug in between her getting ready for her showers and ready. So I am tired. If we don't have a ton of questions, this is probably going to be a short one, but if there's questions come in, I'll go as long as I can. Thank you for being here, and look for some new videos coming out from the show. I think you'll enjoy them. And then also shot a bunch of in Charleston. I shot a bunch of um, ad videos for the boot camp, and I'm gonna put together a coastal boot camp for coastal boaters, because I think there's enough different things that that boot camp's really good for general boating, and lake boating is kind of what I consider general boating. But at the coast, I think they need a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that and shot those promo videos. So a couple more days of sunshine, maybe pull out the boat. Yeah, we were up in Canaan last weekend. I mentioned that, Brian, and the snow was almost gone from all the mountains. They said this is probably our last weekend, and the warm weather. And you can see from my face down here, I got the back of my neck got really burnt. I didn't even think about putting sunscreen on, but yeah, it's getting that time. Matter of fact, I ran into a captain. I was doing some video over by the Wando River. If Brock's on, that's kind of over in his neck of the woods. But there was a charter captain that was finishing up with one of his charters. Husband and wife were packing up all their fish that he filleted for them, and they had a great time. We're saying their goodbyes and thank yous and all that. And I said, hey, I need to get a video out on the water. I said, what would you charge me? I said, you're a licensed captain, right? I said, yeah. I said, all right, what would you charge me to take me out? Let me shoot some video on your boat here. And Captain Todd Golf was his name. And it is, I'm going to see if I can remember his site, fishnutcharters.com. Let me see if this is the right. Yep, there we go. So fishnutcharters.com. He said he didn't know who I was. He had no clue. I just said, I've got a weird request. I need to shoot some video. I would love to get it with this angle and with your center console. He had some isinglass around the center console that would be great to block the wind, because otherwise it was going to be too windy to do what I wanted to do. And he's like, yeah, it'll be my good deed for the day. I'm not going to charge you anything. And so I get out there and I shoot 20 minutes of video on his boat. And he's like, what do you do? And I had to explain it to him. He was a super nice guy. He's been a charter captain for 6 years down there, was a chiropractor before, just a super great guy. Did a little interview that I put up on the channel. But if you're looking for a nice, fun charter captain that knows how to find the fish, he grew up in that area, grew up fishing the Wando River for reds, red drum, black drum, a couple other species that he mentioned. That's his Tidewater. I would guess it's probably a 24, maybe 25 footer bay boat, and nice condition. Let's see, 22 Tidewater with a 250 Yamaha on it. And so if you're looking for a charter captain, fishnutcharters.com. Captain Todd, thank you so much for helping a guy out. That was great. 211. Any word on the boat being ready? The Sea Pro. I was down. I don't know where the factory is from where I was. I was just kind of driving around to the different spots I knew I wanted to be. But hopefully you have a day set up. Steven, good to have you back. Bo, good to have you in from Seattle. Chris M. Yes. I don't know. Chris, I think you were on last week. I don't remember where you're from or if you said, yes, it's definitely going to be a short one tonight. Savvy Symbiote, good to have you. Welcome. Let's see, Bo. Also, the new engine is refurbished 03 Mercruiser. So you got it going. That's good. Let's see. I'm curious to know what budgets are for company like Robalo, Four Winds, bring their product and people to a typical show. So it's a combination of the dealer and the manufacturer. Here's what happens is the dealer decides what they want to take to the show. So I talked to a dealer that I knew from Charlotte. He was helping out the premier dealer in Atlanta. They're kind of partner, share inventory. And although they run their dealership separate on the books, they help each other out. And so he said for the Charlotte show, he's like, my space is about 40 grand, is what it costs for the show. So he's a pontoon guy. He probably has, I would guess, 10 to 12 boats at the Charlotte show, which is a um medium to large, not a huge market, but a medium to large market. It's not super small, but so that's a pretty good investment for the show. He said he didn't go this year because he said I can leverage that 40 grand and market it and spend it in digital and do much better. So the dealer signs on for that. And then what happens is the manufacturers, the boat and the engine manufacturers, maybe even the trailer manufacturers, not as often, but they'll give co-op dollars to reimburse. So they'll say, okay, let's take a look at your floor plan. How many of our boats and what of our boats are you taking to the show? And based on that, they may reimburse the dealer for some of that. For, on 40 grand, they may give 5 grand or something like that to offset the cost. The motor manufacturers will do more. They'll say, if you exclusively show Mercury's, Suzuki's, Yamaha, and in Charlotte, Suzuki was on at least four dealers. That's all they had, and they had a ton of them. So they're making the push to get on the back of transoms as well. They're doing great in the repower market. Now they're going after the on the factory transom coming from the manufacturers on that market, and they're making a push for market share growth. But so they might say, listen, if you bring exclusive Suzuki, we'll give you another 10 grand or something like that, and they'll give money to have exclusivity. Now if there's one Yamaha, if you've got a 9.9 Yamaha on a dinghy and everything else is Suzuki, you don't get it. You got to be 100% exclusive to get that big of a chunk. They might give you a little bit, but that's how it works. So and that's 12 boats or so in a medium large market. You go to the Miami show, I mean, they could be dropping 100 grand or more for just the manufacturer display. The New York boat show is the same way, where the manufacturer will get the booth and then they'll bring the dealers in to participate. And they'll bring dealers from all over the country in a show like that. Miami, Fort Lauderdale International, New York Boat Show. I would venture to say Chicago is similar, although I don't know that for a fact. The big cities where you're pulling so many people from different markets, now the manufacturer will come in, they'll drop 100, 150, 200 grand or more, depending on, in Miami, that can get expensive. And then you got the cost of bringing the boats and all that. And then the dealers pay to participate in the show and man the booth. And then they try to divvy up deals and leads based on market area. So one of the questions they'll ask is, where do you do your boating? And then they'll figure, oh, you need to talk to ABC dealership. You need to talk to XYZ dealership. And that's how they'll do it. 211, thank you. Always appreciate you guys' support and encouraging everybody to share the information and hit that like button. That makes a big difference. Play me Vo Theater still left here. St. Lawrence Boathouse is full of plenty of winter. Okay, there we go. I was like, what the heck is he trying to say? Plenty of winter here on the St. Lawrence. Boathouse is still full of ice. Yeah, there are. We've got it pretty good here in the Charlotte area. And like I said, I was down in Charleston, down in almost to Atlanta is where Lake Lanier is, Buford, Georgia. But we really can boat year round. It gets chilly in November, December, January, but it was 70 degrees in Charleston today. It was almost 70 down on Lake Lanier on Saturday. And you can certainly boat year round, but up in Minnesota, up in Canada, I think Canada is where Steven is, or Wisconsin maybe. But yeah, they've got ice out. They'll be betting on when the ice out is, and they'll have set something on the ice, and when it finally sinks, that's the ice out date, and they'll do some gambling and play some games on that. Heavy rains and hailing up there in Washington, that's no good. Can't see the what did I do here? Captain Todd, I'm sorry. I am let me see if I can get this right. Entire screen, that's what I want to share. I just shared that window. So this is hey, listen, I'm tired. This is Fishnut Charters. You can see his number up there. Bunch of pictures. And a bunch of reviews on TripAdvisor. And if you check out his site, got a whole bunch of pictures. And he said, "I'm just a good old boy that likes to fish." Like I said, he was a chiropractor, and he said, "You know what? I don't enjoy going to work. If it's 5 o'clock and somebody says, 'Can you help me out?' I'm like, 'Nope, we're closed for the day.'" He's like, "But you come up and ask me, 'Can you help out?' I'm like, 'Yeah, I'm happy to stay out on the water for another hour or so." But check out his site, and if you're wanting to go fishing, you can book right on this thing. 4 hours, $500. 6 hours, $700. Inshore is what he does most of. 8 hours is $1,000. He said we don't do many 8-hour trips, but shark charters, harbor and jetty charters, and gift certificates if you know somebody making that trip. So that's his site. Sorry about that. Hitting the wrong buttons here. Monk's Corner is where the Sea Fox factory is. No word yet. Tuesday will be 7 weeks from the order. So I had to be close to there. So I was on the Wando River. I don't remember what highway I was on, or I don't even know what marina I was at. Wando Dry Stack is what it was. I think it was one of the few dry stacks that was out there. So I bet I was pretty darn close. To you. Update on the dealer job. Didn't get it due to shorter experience going back to industrial work. Bo, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. There's a ton of dealers up there. I bet you can find something. Excuse me, find something. But that's no good. Live in Western Maryland, boat Ocean City, Maryland. Chris, I try to remember where everybody's from. I sometimes can keep it in my head. Sometimes it jumps out. Visited Cedar Key, Florida last week. Saw a lot of old relic fan boats lying around. Anyone make a modern version of this? I don't have any idea. I don't know. They're used pretty much exclusively. Well, not exclusively. They're used in the swamp because you can't run a prop. You can't even run a jet pump on convert like a mud. Oh, what the hell do they call it? It's kind of like a surface drive, but a mud. Oh, now that's driving me crazy. Mud drive boats. Mud Buddy, I think that's what it is. Mud Buddy. Yeah, there we go. It's a surface drive. It's a surface drive that is, if you can see that picture right there, it's got just an actual prop, but it runs right on the surface of the water, and it sort of has that fin to keep it from hitting a rock or a stump. But 2023 airboats. I don't have any idea about the airboat market. 2023 airboat show. So yeah, there's a whole show focused on airboats. That's the thing about the boating world, and it's in Davie, Florida. So I don't know where Davie is from the Keys, but my guess is it's down in the swamplands. But that's the thing about boating is there is everything's so regional and so specific on what you want to do that was formed in 1952, the oldest sportsman club in the state of Florida. Interesting. Co-founders support the Everglades, Florida Airboat Association. But what I didn't see, Savvy Simulant, is I didn't see manufacturers. So I think sponsor vendor format. Let's see if we. Yeah, so I'm sure somebody's building them, but it's probably like some of the flats boats and some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the really small kind of skiff type boats, the poling boats that they do down in Texas, where they're super regional, and guys may build 20 of them or so, and they probably do that. Tours, they're probably selling a decent amount to commercial guys that are gator hunting. Panther Airboats. What's the best brand of airboat? Panther Airboats. Custom built boats in Florida. I don't know anything about Panther. I'm just reading what it says. How much does an airboat cost, I wonder? I've never been on one. I've never run one. I don't know. $10,000 for just the counter rotator. Dealers. Let's see how many airboat dealers there are. Coastal Bend. Looks like there's one. Quality airboats in Florida. So, Savvy, you can check them out. I'm not going to go any further down the rabbit hole. This is what happens on the live is we don't have a question come in, and we go down on some weird some question that gets asked, and I start taking some weird direction. But anyway, yeah, that I don't know a lot about them. I have a Tidewater 256, new to boating. Do you know if I could leave the boat on a lift over the winter next year, winterized? Chris, tell me, you were in Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland. I don't know if you don't have to worry about, like, if you're high enough up that you don't have to worry about a flood tide coming in and being too high, I don't see why you couldn't. And my family has a lake place at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri where it hard freezes. I mean, they get serious winter, and we're not there in the wintertime. There's probably 3 or 4 months where nobody's at the house except for our neighbors that live there full time that watch it. But we leave a twin engine stirred drive and an outboard pontoon on the lift, tarped up, covered up, winterized, and put away properly. You can watch my videos on that. At the coast, I can't. The only thing that would concern me at the coast is, can you get your lift up high enough that you have zero worry about a surge coming in, but on high tide, flood tide coming in and getting your boat sliding it off? Or, I mean, you don't really have hurricanes in the wintertime. If you live there, that's better. So you can actually keep an eye on it and check it, but pull the battery, pull your trolling motors, pull your gear, do all that stuff. And I would think you can, but I would want to ask somebody up in that area first. Ask a dealer, ask a technician. They'll know, because if they do it, they winterize them on the lift, and they'll know that that's okay. Hey, Captain, any update on the boating market? Went to a boat show the other day. New boats are just insanely expensive, 300K above what they were a couple years ago. So, KB, yeah, I've got my most recent boating market update was January. I usually don't do them any more often than quarterly, but yeah, so 1 month ago, is it a buyer's market yet? I'll give you the short version of that video. Is, yes, it's turning into a buyer's market. when I was talking to dealers at the show, coming into Lake Lanier, where the show's at, Lanier Island, at the Margaritaville restaurant at their marina there, 200, 300, probably 300 slips that were just packed full of boats. I drove by the dealers. You drive by about 10 dealers coming in. All of them had a ton of boats. Now, they have the amount of boats that a dealer should have this time of year as they're going into the selling season. They start accumulating boats in August, September of the new model year. They keep adding them and adding them and adding them. So come March, April, when the selling season really kicks off, is they've got full inventory, and then they want to have probably 75% of it gone, 80%, 90% gone by Labor Day or so, depending on how aggressive they are. And they'll adjust their prices accordingly to try to push them out the door. So, yes, it's a buyer's market because demand is down, supply is back to normal. But boats got more expensive to build. The prices aren't going to come down significantly. They may come down some. We may have a recession, and we may have it may hit the boating market. It's starting to, but it's not so bad that dealers are going to be going into August with way too much inventory. It's too early in the selling season for them to be thinking about that. They may discount a little bit more, but manufacturers have already raised up prices so much that now dealers are discounting prices, but they're still about the same as what they were last year. And I don't see next year, I don't see prices coming down significantly. It's just we've done another reset, and that's how expensive boats are. Now, what I think we will see is you'll see used boat prices come down a little bit as new boats get more expensive because of inflation, because they're putting more fancy stuff on them. The high-end market is more resilient than the entry-level market. So, uh, pontoons with the 50, bow riders, deck boats that are value brands, things like Bayliner and Tahoe fiberglass boats from Tracker, a lot of the Tracker brands, Stingray, Hurricane, those type of brands that are, usually first time boat buyers are buying those brands because they're less expensive. They're getting hit harder because the people are saying, hey, recession's coming, inflation's hitting, my paycheck's not getting better, and I'm not going to spend that money on the boat. But the guy spending 500 grand or 300, 400 grand on a surf boat, they're like, hey, stock market's up. When the recession hits, that's a great opportunity for me to put my cash to work and even increase my net worth. And so I'm fine writing a $300 or $300,000 check for my new boat. And so those people are still buying boats. They tend to be more resilient to a point till the stock market starts to come down significantly. And then they're like, hey, they've got a different mindset about money. They say, hey, we're going to borrow for the boat and we're going to keep our money invested where it's going to make a positive return. But even that slows down as it gets real bad. So that higher end market, it just keeps going higher. They keep putting bigger horsepower, more electronics, fancier lighting, bigger boats, twin, triple, 3, 4, 5 inch. There was a pontoon that was over 200,000 there. There was a wake boat that was over 300,000 at the show. There were some big cruisers, Avaria. There was a Aquila catamaran. There were some big expensive boats there that had sold signs on it, cruisers, yachts. And so I don't see the boat price go now, but watch that video, KB, and I show you data why I believe that to be why that's my prediction of what's going to happen. And I don't have a whole lot more information than others. I may watch it more closely than most, but it's not like I've got a hotline to CEOs of boat manufacturers or Brett McGill at Marine Max to know what's going on. But I do have connections in the industry, and I pay attention to all sides of it, especially now with the channel. I hear more from the consumers as well, and try to share that information and put my thoughts together. Did Sea Ray have any of their new outboard cruisers at the show? 370, full cabin, triple lounge. They did not. They had a 320 dancer there, but it's the same stern drive 320 dancer. There was no outboards. They had all of their Sea Rays there were bow riders. They had the one dancer. They had the Aviara. I always say that one wrong. The Mastercraft's new brand that they came out with 3 or 4 years ago now. A really, really nice boat, really well done, really pretty. And let me see if I can't even spell it. Aviara. So they had one of these there. Come on. I'm going to guess it was the 36 is what they had there. I don't remember off the top of my head. Come on, show me a good picture. Yeah, so that's the look of the boat, just really sharp outboards. It was a triple, I'm pretty sure. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it wasn't an outboard. It was a stern drive because I remember stepping on the swim platform and the motors weren't there. But anyway, a real pretty boat. They were there, and but no, I didn't see, and I haven't seen the 370. Their cruiser's yacht was the day boat that was open bow with a cabin down below, but that still was a stern drive. When I was in Seattle show, they had a lot of cruisers, but they were all inboards with closed cooling. Yeah, especially the bigger, heavier boats. When you get over 35, 40, somewhere in that range, you'll go to almost all inboards or pod drives, depending on the application. New York, Ontario, Boater. That's what I thought. I thought you were up that way. Thousand Island region, St. Lawrence, world-class freshwater boating of all kinds. Has the pontoon market topped out luxury category yet? Do you think there's a more room for growth? Yeah, I mean, Savvy Semblant, the market for pontoons. I mean, I saw multiple twin engine tritoons, and you're talking 200 grand to just get started. There was built a new entrant in which is the first time I've seen this one. I'd heard about it before, but Vanderbilt Luxury Pontoons, they are strictly entering the luxury pontoon market. And they had this real cool, if you can see it, this bar on the back, because it's twin engine, they've got all of this space where usually they just put a step up boarding ladder that's it's almost like a set of stairs that goes down like you would see at a freshwater dock. But now they've said, hey, let's use that space. And they put a bar set up that the tables swing or the stools swing away. They've got the 2 bar tables, high top, and then the ski tow bar is back here. And the boat was, I don't remember, but that was real close to 220, I think, and a 27 footer. And I talked to the dealer, and he said I said, are they looking to go high end and then start coming down? He said, no, they're looking to stay in that premium level. Everything about them is going to be premium. And that's because that part of the market is doing incredibly well right now. You look at Barletta they've taken up the quality level in construction and fit and finish, customer service, and they've knocked it out of the park in the last 6-7 years, whatever they've been building boats, sold to Winnebago, and they still are going strong. You got Vanderbilt entering that. You had Premier, Bennington, Avalon, Harris, all of those guys. When you look at what they're building, most of it is that high end 100 $100,000 pontoon was nothing to see at the show. And that seems to be the market that continues to be resilient and continues to be selling. What you didn't see, and you see manufacturers like Viaggio, which used to be Misty Harbor, I think 3 years ago now, they rebranded to Viaggio. They kept from the decking down the same, but from the flooring up, they classed it up and they went more luxury compared to Misty Harbor, which was very value, very basic, very price point. And they said that market's going away and we're going to take it to the higher end because there's not as many people buying those. And you have people like Sun Tracker that are just, they're dominating that market. They've got distribution with Bass Pro Shop, and they've got the eyeballs of the first time boater. Everybody knows Bass Pro. Hey, this is a company that's gonna be there, and they have taken a lot of that market share away from the more traditional mom and pop dealers. And the bigger dealers, Marine Max, One Water, and some of those are saying, hey, we're going to go to the premium, to the high end, because it's less price sensitive. So we're cutting the ups and downs, and those customers, we can also sell them other products and service, like Marine Max buying boat manufacturers, but they're also buying insurance, vacations, technology companies in the boating segment, because that high end group spends a lot more money. There's less of them, but they spend a lot more money than the um, 26-foot and below pleasure boaters. There's a lot more of us. I put most of us in that category, but there's a lot more money spent in the 27-foot and above, even though that only makes up about 5 to 10% of the market in sales every year. So just all that stuff is research I did for the boating market update, and paying attention to the boating industry. It's some interesting trends. Steel Hall fan boats on ice. Yes. Anything that's a flat surface that you can do. Son of a red shirt. Thank you. I appreciate that. Welcome to the live. It's a name I haven't seen before. Captain, keep it on the trailer winterized boat. Boated Lake of the Ozarks when I was stationed in Fort Leonard Wood. Nice lake. It can get way busy. I've been going there since I was a kid. So 1979 was probably the first year we went there, when I was about 5 years old, and we've been going ever since. And I would venture to say there's probably 1 year that I didn't go to the Lake of the Ozarks for at least a week. And my family got our place down there in '99. So we've had one there for a long time, and spent a lot of time, and it just keeps getting busier and busier, and bigger boats, and rougher. Topic of dealers, it turns out a lot of Northwest dealers are still trying to get their hands on European cutties, but manufacturers won't do it. Yeah, I think the climate up there is a lot more European-like, cooler, rainier, and that cutty makes a little bit more sense than, parts southern Florida, Gulf Coast, even in the Carolinas. It's too hot, and they stopped selling. So most sought after for them was that's the one you want. Listen, when I was selling boats, Sheldon Brown. Sheldon Brown, he was a defensive cornerback for the Cleveland Browns. He grew up in, like half hour from me in Rock Hill, but he lived on Lake Wiley, and I met him, and he was looking for a boat. He had a wake boat. He'd been a boater for a long time, and he knew exactly what he wanted, and he wanted the Sea Ray hardtop with the enclosure, but they only built it in Europe. And I was like, listen, this guy wants this boat. He's willing. He liked his toys, but he was very smart financially. And he's like, I'm only going to spend this much. So if it's over that, I really, really want it. But if it's over that, I'm not going to do it. And, I've got my limits. And, I tried to get that boat in the States, and tried to be able to sell it. and I could not. The best I could get was like an extra $75,000 on a $200,000 boat to get it over here. And even then, they didn't want to because the electrical is all European and it doesn't match up. They would have to convert things. So not only the shore power electrical, but then the electrical on the boat is all European plugs. It just doesn't work. And so I wasn't able to put it together. Ray, you're way off on being first, man. I did, you know what? I didn't have it out there. I put it out there way late. So that's on me. You probably would have been there, but good to have you. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're doing real well. Some sort of regulation that requires throttle to be a separate component from the steering wheel. Integrate the throttle with the steering. No, there's nobody that does that. And I can't imagine. I don't know how it would work. I think about on my wife's minivan, it's got paddle shifting. And even on that driving, every now and again, I'll hit the shifter and I'll shift into a gear when I don't know why you want paddle shifting on a minivan. Listen, we're driving around a bunch of knucklehead kids and there's no reason for it, but it's on there. I just, with it being so rough and not having the ability to quickly shut it down, having precise control, I don't know of anybody that has even thought about it, and I would think it would be a difficult thing to do, safety wise, but I don't know that for sure. Let's see here. What else we got? Boat prices have gotten crazy. I don't think they'll come back down. Price to Cobia 2 years ago, 105. 2 weeks ago, 160. Yeah, it is. It is really, really interesting how much everything's gone up. And in that market update, I show the inflation. And even though inflation has come down a little bit, it's still way up. And things like aluminum, gas, petroleum prices, fiberglass is mainly petroleum based, right? So the fiberglass resin is made out of a petroleum base. It's like 80% petroleum. And that's a huge part of building a fiberglass boat. The aluminum, all the aluminum fishing boats and pontoons, that made a huge impact there. You look at the components for the engines, there's a lot of aluminum in those. And it makes them more expensive. And you add the fact that they're saying, this is the industry's mindset, is the boat buyer wants their boat to be more like a car. Well, what direction are cars going? Technology, autonomy, electric. I don't know that they're right about those, that's what buyers want. That's what the premium buyers want, that, hey, I can write the check for anything, but I want to just be able to jump on it and go. And I want that experience to be like the car. That's what they're focusing on. And there's very, very few manufacturers that have focus on, hey, let's keep that price down so we can get new people into the marketplace. A strategic mistake, potentially, because those high-end buyers typically start somewhere as kids, buying their first Bayliner or Sun Tracker or whatever. And then as their wealth grows and they become more successful, then they start buying the more expensive stuff. I don't know. There's, I would assume, smarter people than me that are making those decisions, but there's more profit to be made because of the higher prices and the higher margins on those prices as well. Ron, new boat owner here, 23. Which supplies are okay to get generic versus brand? Deck lines, fenders, PDFs, anchors. Where do you settle? So, Ron, welcome to the channel. First of all, first time seeing your name on the live here. Is it kind of depends on how critical it is for you. So VHF, I would get an ICOM or a Standard Horizon. Get one of those two brands. You need that. If you're a coastal boater, it's even more important to have that real good quality. Don't skimp on that. Life jackets, PDFs, good fitted ones for the people that are going to be on the boat most of the time. U.S. Coast Guard approved for sure, but make sure they're good and comfortable. That's the big thing. And the brands on that really don't matter as long as they fit well. Some of them are cut better than others, but it depends on your body type as well. For my girls, um, we went through on my youngest. She's got really sensitive skin like I do, and she would chafe really easy on the underarm and even on the belly in some spots. And so we had to go through 3 or 4 life jackets with her as she moved from the 50 and under to the 90 and under size, because it wasn't fitting her right and it was rubbing her in different places. Finally, we found one, and we also put a rash guard shirt under her, which really made a big difference. But so those I would spend the money on them. Fenders, I really like the polyform fenders. They're not going to mark up your boat. They're going to last. They're going to hold up real well. They're going to look nice. The dock lines, hey, you can go generic there. I wouldn't go generic on any parts for the boat, mechanical parts, maintenance parts, replacement. I wouldn't go anything off Amazon there, because the risk reward, you can save 50%, but it's only $20 and you're risking your $10,000 engine. So don't do that. But if you want to get the more generic dock lines, if you want to get the generic cooler, if you want to get the, say the generic anchor, um, the anchor is more about getting the right style of anchor, making sure you've got at least your 5 foot of anchor chain or more. You've got good, solid, true anchor road that has I've got some in my closet over there, but it's rigged for an anchor and has that little metal clip in there. I forget what they call it, so that it doesn't chafe that rope and you don't lose your anchor. So if you anchor a lot, don't skimp on the anchor setup. Make sure you get the right setup. But Ron, one of the things that I'm in the process of, I just got approved a couple weeks ago, is we're going to start selling gear through our store. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through everything that they offer. So I've got access to like 30,000 products. I'm going to go through all the brands and I'm going to put together, these are the things that you need to outfit your boat, so that you don't have to make those decisions and try to do it in a way that, hey, the margins are fair, but I'm going to give you, this is what you really need. This is some stuff that you might want. This is the stuff you don't need right now. Go ahead and pass on that, and to try to help. So I'm not ready yet. If you've got your boat, congratulations on that. Go to West Marine, go to, go to some of the Amazon providers, but don't skip on the VHF. Don't skimp on the life vests. You get a $5, $7, $10 throw cushion, you're probably okay. Just make sure everything's Coast Guard approved if it's a true safety device. Don't skimp on the fire extinguisher. You can get a whistle for $6. So, and if you haven't, hopefully you've watched this video. Yeah, must have boat gear. Watch that video. I talk about all of the sizes that you need, and that's some of the information I want to put out. Not only offer the products, but be like, hey, just tell me what size boat you have. Tell me where you boat, what the bottom looks like, what you like to do, and then I'll recommend, here's the gear that you need. We've got the big Mabel, but if you want to go with the Wow float Mabel, their Mabel equivalent, it's going to be fine. It's a little bit less expensive, and so you can save on some of that stuff. Of Air and Sea, welcome. Don't recognize your name. Is it true the older sailboats have better hull construction than newer ones? What year do they get worse? I don't do sailboats. I know zero about sailboats. So unfortunately I can't answer that. I have no idea. Matter of fact, if you go back and you watch the intro on my lives I started 3 or 4 weeks ago, Um, I even say I know nothing about sailboats. I've never run one. I've been on them, but that's about as much experience as I have. And I sold one when I was selling boats, but I sold it to the YMCA summer camp just so they had an extra sailboat. I sold it to them at the cost that we got it on trade. Just they could have it. We got rid of it, and that was as close as I got to knowing sailboats. Sheldon Brown, Cleveland here. Yes, yeah, he was a really good player. He was a super nice guy. He always stopped by to say hey at the boat show, and he did a lot of stuff in the community. He was just a super nice guy, and I really wanted to help him out. I wanted to sell a $200,000 boat for sure, but I really wanted to hang out with him on his boat and train him on it, because he was a fun guy to talk to and hang out with, and really was into boats and boating, and just enjoyed it. And his kids were younger, and he loved taking them out wakeboarding and surfing on Lake Wiley. My new Euro design fetish is the sure, sure. Yeah, there's that European design is coming over here, man. It's you're starting to see it a lot more. And the so Beneteau was at the show, and so they've got the Beneteau brand. Wellcraft is one of their brands was there, and Four Winds is one of their brands, and you're starting to see some of that European styling come in on those brands, and definitely on the Beneteau. Considering buying a 22 Manitou Aurora, um, oh, thank you very much. On air, I've got no information for you, and you send me some money. That's super appreciated. Thoughts on owning a boat slip? Where to hunt for them online? It is so local, so I don't know of any boat slip buying sites. There's places like Docwa, DOCKWA.com, but that's more like an Airbnb where it's a rental. um what you'll need to do is I don't know where you are for sure, of air and sea, but it's usually going to be a local Facebook group, and things like condo associations will have deeded slips. You Individual marinas, if they sell them, they typically don't, but some will. Is you'll have to contact each individual marina, so it's going to be a real manual effort, and it's going to be a real scavenger hunt for you as well, because the I would use social media the best I could, is say, hey, I'm looking in this area, um, and this is what I need. These are the specs of what I'm looking for. Who do you know? And then go to the local boating Facebook groups in your area if they've got chat rooms. If you're sailing, go to there's going to be a handful of sailboat focused yacht club, sailing club type marinas that cater more to sailboats. Walk in one day, and this isn't online, but just walk into the marina, talk to the marina managers, walk the docks, talk to some of the old salts that are there, and they will probably know, and they'll be able to help you out. So, um, for sure. Captain Todd, Captain Todd, I showed your website earlier, and told the story. I didn't get the video done because I took a nap on the way home from Charleston, and didn't get there. Uh, but thank you so much for being so kind to take me out, and it was fun talking to you too. Let's see. All right, now here we are. Euro design. Considering the Manitou. Okay, here we go. Considering buying a Manitou. Sorry, anytime somebody donates the money, I always try to jump to their question right away, as a thank you for the donation. And it notifies me. So I was right in the middle of your question, Douglas Gold. Welcome. I don't recognize your name, Douglas, but welcome to the live. Considering buying a new 22 Manitou for 46,000, is that a fair price? Um, out the 23, center's 27. Is that a problem? Um, that is Manitou. That's their design, their V-tune design. They put the smaller ones on the outside. Usually I thought it was 25 and 27 in the middle. 23 seems small, but on a 21 foot, not as big a deal. The horsepower, that's the big thing that I need to know, because if it's a 115, that motor's significantly cheaper than if it's a 150 or 200. I'd guess on that it's probably a 150, but maybe a 115. Well, at 46,000, it's probably a 115 to get to 46. But let me know that and the options as well. But Douglas, there's so many variables when you look at pricing that 2022, 21, spell AUR, Aurora, LERFVP, Tritune. So I'm going to pull up VP Tritune. So without looking at 58, 50, 50, these are all 22s. I don't know what horsepower they are. So there's 3 of them listed all over 50. Now, this is retail, right? So Rockingham Marine, Rockingham Marine, Rockingham Marine. This is retail for these dealers. They're gonna probably discount that, right? They're not CarMax. They don't sell like that. Propulsion, that's a 200 Suzuki. So the 59 is a 200. The 50 is a 140 Suzuki. So yeah, depending on your horsepower, it's in line. If that's the buy price, that seems good. But again, the options will make a difference as well. Does that include trailer? A trailer on that Tritune is 21-foot Tritune, 5, 6, maybe $7,000, depending on what kind of rims it's got, what options it has. So there's a lot more to it than just knowing the make and the model. It's not like a Honda Odyssey LE, where really the only options are what color is it. On the boats, the options can be significant, especially with the motor. So, but that's what I would do. Anytime I'm looking, I'm going to go and search up that boat, see what's out there, especially if it's not a current model. And then the other thing is we have our magic money saving method that it will help you save some money. It's a negotiation tactic. For me, being a sales guy, it was the worst thing a buyer could do, because it put the pressure on me. If I wanted to get the sale, I was going to have to give my best price. And it's a real simple, easy to use thing. If you're buying from a dealer, there's 6 other strategies to get discounts and concessions. So you might want to check that out as well, Douglas, just to make sure you are getting a fair price for that boat that you're buying, for the condition that it's in, and make sure that the dealer is a good, solid dealer as well. Ray, I'm glad to hear that. Very glad to hear that. Yes, and I know everybody on the on the live is as well. Do Carver Industries make solid bimini mounts? Because I want to keep the bimini mounted up out of the way. Fold it down. I don't know. For most of bimini top, for most canvas work, what I recommend is going to a local canvas guy and having them do the work. They can usually bend the aluminum and cut it all. I don't know how that compares to the canvas covers, but I don't know these guys off the top of my head, Bo. So I would have to dive into it a little bit more. and see what is their what are they working on. And thank you to Mark that just invested in the Best Boat Captain program. Thank you very much. If you heard that ding, that's what that was. So thank you for doing that. If you happen to be watching the live, say howdy, and you're gonna love the program. But yeah, I would have to dive into that a little bit more, Bo, to give you an opinion. That was the trip I wish I could only imagine. I could only imagine. So, but glad that you're doing well. Um, let's see here. Again, thanks to of Aaron C. And D. Greg used to sail a lot. Sailors value lower hull numbers with the same model. Technically older. Older designs are not any better. In fact, the hull designs have benefited a lot lately from all the advances. Yeah, I would think the CAD design would really make a big impact on sailing, where the power boat, yes, your hydrodynamics matter, but the sailing, it really is going to make a big impact, I would imagine. All right, so the 150, so the Mercury or Yamaha, I was comparing that was a Suzuki 140. Not only is it a 140, but Suzuki is a $3,000 less expensive engine compared to a 150 Mercury or Yamaha. And so take that into account as well. But again, and the trailer and all that stuff matters. Had a friend tell me that the newer sailboats, 90s, 2000, had a foam layer in between the fiberglass, causing issues. Yeah, I don't know about the sailboating world, but in the powerboating world, it was about early 2000s when they really started figuring out materials. And for power boats, it was wood. They were using marine plywood in the construction, and they were using other wood in the stringer system, but they weren't encapsulating it with fiberglass, with any resin of any kind, and they were having a lot of rotting issues. Wood's a great material for boat building because of its strength, its noise absorption, its the uh rigidity was just right, sound dampening. But there's one problem: wood rots. And so that caused a lot of problems in early 90s, early 2000s. In the manufacturer started changing there. So I wouldn't be surprised if the sailboat world went through the same thing, as the materials were having issues. And there were also manufacturers that were shooting foam in between the hull and using that in the stringers. Grady still does it. Whaler still does it. But they were using closed cell foam, but then they would drill into it and attach some hardware to it and go right into the lamination and then into the foam. Well, now you puncture that closed cell foam, and now it's not closed cell anymore. You opened it up and water can intrude in there, and now you got a big old heavy boat that's no good. So a lot of people will weigh older boats because of that. They'll say, okay, the specs say this is a 4,000-pound boat. They put it on the trailer, weigh it, and now it's a 5,000-pound boat. Well, it's not going to perform as well. And that, and it can cause delamination and all the other stuff that comes with water being in the wrong spot. Pluses and minuses. Yeah, Whaler, you're exactly right. Whaler had similar issues. Anyone here ever use one of those Raptor shallow water anchors? Benefit. See a lot of them down in Florida. So I don't know. So I know Bo's got the power poles. I'll see what Captain Todd's got. I don't remember. I know he had one power pole on it. I don't know what the brand was. I don't know if we'll be able to see it in any of his photos or not. Probably not. But yeah, they're great for the right application. So if you go to the sandbar, and you want to set yourself down, throw out your bow anchor, and you can set that in, and it'll hold you firm. If you've got two of them, you can just go off those. If you find your fishing spot in shallow enough water, you can deploy them. Some of them have like super sneaky mode that they deploy really, really slow and quiet so you don't scare the fish. And yeah, there's a lot of people are putting them on their boats aftermarket. A lot of people are ordering them now, and they're popular for a reason. They work really well for the right application. Now, you got to be in deep enough, or not too deep of water, and you've got to have the right type of bottom, but they definitely work well. Storing your boat seems like a bigger hurdle. Yeah. The sailboats are a little tougher to manage. Here we are doing an hour already. So after these last couple, we're gonna call it a night. I always dry sailed, stored it on the trailer. Better for racing because the bottom never fouls. That will slow you down a ton. Marina saddle, there are many sailboats as power boats. However, marina space seems tight everywhere I look for all boats. Yeah. There was somebody, I think it was in South Florida, that told me he was wanted to buy a boat, but he just couldn't find slippage. He couldn't find a spot to put it, and that was really holding him off from buying. And he said, as soon as I find a slip, I'm ready to make a move. But it's advice I give a lot of people that want to keep their boats in the water is find your slip first, because in a lot of areas, freshwater, saltwater, it doesn't really matter. Storage can be expensive, and it can be very, very hard to come by. And like of Aaron C asked, buying a slip, it can be hard to find. They can be available, but it can be hard to find them because there's so much demand, so little supply, that it's not like they have to come up with a good way to market it. Somebody's going to find them within a short period of time, and they're going to sell it, or they're going to find somebody to use it. So it's a access to slippage or dry storage, whichever, can be difficult in a lot of areas. All right, I'm calling it a night. 50-hour work thing. Uh, yes. Thanks for joining, Bo, and appreciate you as always. Savvy Simulant, you're very welcome. Great to have you. Corey, good to have you, and make it a great night. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to eat my dinner finally. I didn't even throw a ravioli in my mouth here. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you joining us. Have a good night. Oh, gonna close it off with my vape before you ask. Enjoy it, Bo. Have a good night, man. Yes, Rob, you're very welcome. I really enjoy doing it. And like I said, and of Aaron C, thank you very much. Best brand of reliability for small outboards. So the Mercuries for the small outboards tend to be the one that have the best reputation. They're all really good though, and you're even the smaller Tahatsus. If you There's not as many techs to work on them, but they're really, really reliable now. Put good gas in. Um, run your run your gas consistently. So use straight gasoline, no ethanol, and don't don't let it get too old. If that makes sense, it starts deteriorating. If it does get old, add the octane boost and treat it. If you can't get straight gasoline, if you have to use ethanol, make sure you treat it. And but you're I would go Mercury number one, and then I would say after that, just whoever a good technician that you have a good relationship with is, and then really focus on good fuel. That will keep any of them, Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, Tohatsu. I would probably the Hondas. I don't know what they make in the real small stuff. Outboard. And I'm not sure how small you're talking, if you're talking 9.9 or 20 15. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Honda's got a 9.9 or not. But yeah, all of the main manufacturers, I would stay away from any of the China stuff that you're starting to see come on Amazon. That stay away from that for sure. And thanks for joining. Glad you found us as well. And I super appreciate the donations on the question. Ray, good night. D Greg, see y'all next week. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more rested. And Chris M, thanks. Ray, good night. And we'll see you guys all next weekend. Remember, life truly is better on a boat. Oh, and Captain Todd, if you're still there, thanks for taking me out of the water. And I'll send you that video when I get it finished up. Appreciate you. If you're looking to fish, fishnutcharters.com. Take care, everybody.